Part 10. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 91. I already have a future date. In the future. And then maybe a future marriage partner. Also in the future. Oreki's statement was a bit strange, but Ichino's was a tolerant person, so he nodded lightly. I think Oreki-san probably has something to hide. Because I encountered embarrassing things, and encountered embarrassing things. So Ichino's and Oreki-san did not stay at the railing any longer. The two arrived at the shopping street together and then separated. And Ichino's is also very strong. By the time we reached the shopping street, the mood was over. It's not that I feel restrained or sad, but that it's over. And this is something that Kushida-san probably cannot compare to. Then, when he returned to his home that night and went to sleep, Oreki-san found that he had a dream related to Ichino-san. But it's just an ordinary dream. Because I was also dreaming about Ichino-san being confessed by Chihiro Shirami. At this time, Ichino-san was not that strong, which meant that his emotions did not adjust immediately. She rejected Kyonksuin, and then hesitated or said she didn't want to hurt her. At the same time, I felt troubled and lacked self-confidence. Because I told her that we would be friends like before tomorrow. But I don't know if I can do it. She slumped her shoulders. It seems she knows it too. This is that some emotions, once they are revealed, even some actions, you will look at them with colored eyes. For example, girls can hold hands, but what if they find that the other person likes you? So is this hand-holding still a normal hand-holding? This depends on you. Oreki in the dream answered like this: if you are not confident, then you can take a test. Test. Ichino's raised his lowered cheeks. But Oreki-san immediately held her hand. Look, if you can feel calm when shaking hands with the opposite sex like this, then you and Chihiro-san can also regain their calm mood. So you just held her hand? So can she feel peace in her heart? No. Ichino's felt that his heartbeat would only speed up. Because any girl will feel her heartbeat faster when a boy holds her hand, whether she likes it or not. Oreki-kun is such a bad person. Ichino's took out his hand. But your mood has calmed down a little, right? Oreki-san said. Only then did Ichino's realize that it was just a joke. It was a way to calm her down. But she gently raised her hand and looked at Oreki-san's calm side face. She still felt that her heartbeat had not calmed down, and it always felt like it was not a joke. Well. At this time, all the scenes completely disappeared. Oreki Houtarou opened his eyes and looked at the familiar ceiling in his home. He looked around and felt that his feet were a little heavy, and then quickly discovered that his cat ran to the bed and lay on the quilt. I didn't let it under the quilt before, but it still ran up. And this also made Oreki Houtarou understand that he had just been dreaming. But is this dream so brave? Because I actually met girls in my dreams. Still proactive. This was something he hadn't thought about. Dreams are projections of things that matter to you. In other words, he is actually looking forward to contacting girls. Horikita-san is like this, and Ichino-san is like this too. Or are you unable to resist cute girls? Well. Why is this so? Obviously I wouldn't think about this when I was in elementary school or junior high school. And the only contact I had with girls after entering high school. Oreki thought of Kushida-san, who had short blonde hair and looked like a little angel. Yes. And this may be Kushida-san's fault. Because growing up, he had only been held by his older sister, and then his hand was held by Kushida-san. As a result, in the dream, I actually wanted to hold hands with Ichino-san. Oreki. He stood up and looked at himself in the mirror. You're not that kind of person. Kushida-san, this is your fault. Charging is complete. So, he calmed down after soothing himself. When he went to sleep again, he found that he no longer had dreams related to girls. In this way, time seems to be fully restored. But on June 1st, there are new changes. Use teleportation from home to the school dormitory, and then arrive at the classroom at 7:40. Good morning, Oreki-san. Morning. Oreki came to his seat. The students seemed to be in a good mood today. As expected of our class, the steady voice of Katsuragi-san also came over. The reason is probably obvious. The first of every month is the day when the school transfers funds to students based on the evaluation scores of the purchased class. In the second month of the freshman year, it is 8 o'clock, but teacher Mashima has said that from now on it will be on time at 7 o'clock. It's 7:40 now. In other words, it really came out. Oreki, on the other hand, used teleportation directly from home to the dormitory, and then picked up the phone without looking at the value on it. Your account has received 133,000 points. Transfer party XF10001. Account balance, 2,835,400 points. This is a transfer from the school, and every student in class has it. Everyone agrees. At the same time, happily, the number of points last month was 120,300. This month has been increased by 10,000 points. In other words, although Mr. Majima hasn't come to the class meeting yet, everyone already knows the result. In the just passed written examination, a maximum of 100 points can be obtained for class evaluation. Then what they get now is a 100-point reward. In other words, everyone is excellent. Then class is indeed outstanding. Speak of it. Oreki glanced and saw that Sakayanagi-san next door and Kamuro-san at the back table were not here. But a tall bald man came over to his desk. This is Katsuragi-san. Although he is dressed like this, his bald head is not intentional, but is caused by alopecia in the past. But he doesn't feel inferior because of his physical deficiencies. He is a very stable and confident person. He is also good at thinking. A unit of measurement that can be used as a class representative in class competitions. For example, Ryuan is about 2 Katsuragi. And Ichi knows maybe 1.2 Katsuragi. As for Sakayanagi Yuzu, there are probably quite a few Katsuragi-san. And now Katsuragi-san? Oreki looked at him. Speaking of which, Ryuan from Class C seemed to be causing trouble for you some time ago, Katsuragi said. Oh, that Oreki said. I saw him bullying the students in Class D, so I reported him to the student council. However, he used the points to avoid the penalty of deducting class evaluation points. Katsuragi is a classmate of the student union. When he was sorting out the information, he discovered Tachibana Akane's book, a record of the fight between Ryuan and Kojinji. Then I also saw that Long Yuan was given a demerit. From the information obtained from classmates, we can know that Ryuan from Class C is a dangerous person. Use violence. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 92. He is willing to pay a lot of points to maintain his class evaluation score, which I think needs special attention, Katsuragi said. This is quite in line with his character. Katsuragi is a steady person. I hope that class A will always be far ahead and graduate steadily. So on the one hand, the class should continue to achieve excellent results to cope with the school's special examination, and then we must also pay attention to the lower classes below. Needless to say, the class evaluation score of Class D will be reduced to 0 in the first month of enrollment. But Class B made Katsuragi feel average, but Class C was the only one that made him feel the need to be vigilant. So I want to point out the dangers of Long Yuan. In the new month, the members of Katsuragi's small group have changed again. Katsuragi sent 20 people. Sakayanagi sent 20 people. It seemed that they were evenly matched, But Katsuragi-kun felt unsafe. He doesn't want everyone to listen to him, but now Class A's class evaluation scores are booming. I don't want divisions in the class. So I hope Oreki-san, who belongs to the Sakayanagi faction, can serve as a link between him and the Sakayanagi faction. Dong dong. However, at this time, the sound of a cane tapping on the ground came from behind. Sakayanagi Arisu has already arrived with her puppy. Kamuro-san followed behind, holding Sakayanaga's school bag. The two walked over from the door of the classroom. Good morning, Oreki-san. Sakayanaga-san is also quite cute today. Good morning. And Oreki responded. Then take out the textbook for the first class. So. A few days ago, he had a dream about wanting to have physical contact with Ichino's Hanamai, so maybe he can't blame all of it on Kushida-san. In fact, the same goes for Sakayanagi-san. Smile and say hello to you every day. This smiling look is really hard to bear. And Sakayanagi Arisu sat down. Said to Katsuragi. If you are worried about this month's exam, Sakayanagi Yuzu said. Then I probably can't intervene. So, I think everyone will follow Katsuragi-san's instructions. That is to say. It's obviously only the beginning of the month, but it's still the first. But has Sakayanagi Yuzu gotten any news? And, what did she mean by being unable to intervene? Doesn't she take the exam? Katsuragi-san frowned and returned to his seat. Because the homeroom teacher, Mr. Mashima, finally came. Much like the first time we met, Mr. Majima seemed meticulous. First of all, congratulations to everyone for completing last month's special examination. Then you should have received the points transferred from the school and know the results of this special examination. Then, Teacher Mashima wrote the evaluation scores of the 4 classes on the blackboard. Class A 1,330 points. Class B 670 points. Class C 490 points. Class D 10 points. From this score, we can see that all 3 ABC classes have fully grasped the true meaning of the open book exam. It should be that every student scored 100 points. So I got the highest reward. Then only Class D is the exception. Is Class D's score 10 points? Katsuragi-san sits relatively near the front. The evaluation scores of the 4 classes before the exam are as follows. Class A 1,230 points. Class B 570 points. Class C 490 points. Class D 10 points. This made Katsuragi-san frown. Because all 3 classes ABC received the highest award of 100 points, it shows that Class B and Class C are also going all out to fully cope with the school's exams. That is to say, I feel their desire to climb up. Especially Ryuan, that guy. The quality hardware of the students in Class C was obviously very poor, but how did he make all the students memorize the papers completely and get 100 points in the exam? And this kind of commanding ability is also followed by the students in Class C. This will put pressure on Class A. But some people are also concerned about the results of Class D. Class D 10 points. In other words, Class D's score this time is still terrible. Even, in the case of open book exams, some people failed. Yes. There was a failure in Class D of the first grade. Although you all seem to be trying your best. The results are also good. But only you, Syudu. Chibashira Sida, the homeroom teacher of Class D, stood at the podium. She came over today with a report card that was printed out like an oversized wall calendar. Post the report card on the blackboard so you can see everyone's results. 1/2 of the students scored above 80 in the 5 subjects, and there were also a lot of students who scored above 60. But because of this, the average score is higher. Then, like the subject of physics. Sai Chibashira took out a red pen and put it in the column where Houtarou scored 39 points in physics. Because everyone's grades have improved, the average score has also increased accordingly. The average score is 40 points, and you, Houtarou, have 39 points. Houtarou, you failed. I'm sorry, but please sign the application for withdrawal from school, Sai Chibashira said. Why is this dash? Houtarou stood up in shock. I don't want it, why should I drop out of school? His grades are very poor. But after he came to this school, he received attention in sports. After joining the basketball department, he immediately became a regular player. Unfortunately, this is the rule of this school, Sai Chibashira said business-likely. I only have 2 hours to clean up. You will be expelled from school after 2 hours. In fact, Chibashira-sensei gave people the impression that he was in a very low mood a few days ago, and seemed to feel even more unmotivated. But everyone is used to her. So I didn't say anything. But now, she actually said such cold words with a mouth that was warm at 37 degrees Celsius. Is there no other way? As everyone's Hirata, a gentle and good man, Hirata-kun immediately stood up. Chibashira-sensei, I don't want to see my friend drop out of school like this. Me too, Kushida-san, who was sitting in the front row, also stood up. I'm speaking kindly to Houtarou. Even though you say so, the school follows the rules. If you can have unlimited grace, do you think all the people who provide you with points for living expenses will agree? The taxes you pay cannot be wasted casually. Chibashira-sensei said in a cold tone. In other words, there will be no mercy on dropping out of school. It's no use asking Chibashira-sensei for mercy. Horikita. At this time, Horikita Suzun had no expression on her face. Or quite speechless. Because the test was open book, and some people really failed. So. She looked at Sai Chibashira. Chibashira Sai also looked back. The eyes of both parties seemed to meet. But they dispersed quickly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 93. Horikita probably wanted to express that if you asked her to lead the class to Class B, some people would fail the open book exam. Who is this? Who can take it? And the T-pillar. Chibashira-sensei didn't seem to want to think. The T-pillar seemed to be completely broken. I don't want to drop out of school. After noticing that teacher Chibashira had become cold, Houtarou looked at the gentle Hirata. Hirata, save me. Aren't we friends? If he hadn't been in his seat, Houtarou might have hugged Hirata. Chibashira-sensei. If someone must drop out of school, Mr. Hirata received Houtarou's request for help, but what he said was surprising. Then I am willing to drop out of school in Houtarou-san's place. Hirata, you. Houtarou was surprised. Maybe he didn't expect that his relationship with Hirata would be so good. Hirata was actually willing to drop out of school in his stead. This is what the so-called true friends are. Houtarou almost burst into tears. Chibashira. As a person who was born in Class D and then climbed up the ranks with Class D, Chibashira Sai, a fierce person, suddenly realized Hirata's true thoughts. His self-dropout was not for Houtarou, but for everyone else. He would rather drop out of school than let others drop out. That is to say, what obsessions do you have in your heart? In this class, although many people look good, some are good. But it is indeed a gathering place for problem children. Can such a class really move up the ladder? As for Hirata, as long as a student from Class D drops out, he may not be able to bear it. Chibashira finally reflected that he seemed to have an unclear understanding of this class. At the same time, the impossible was placed on Horikita Suzune. So when the man behind her found out, he immediately refused. I think Horikita-san may have some plan at this time. However, a voice sounded at this time. This was before always being done by oneself. Even Rokusuke Takahara took out a small mirror to comb his hair during class. Horikita. Brush. Almost instantly, everyone looked in the direction of Horikita Suzune. 2 months have passed and everyone has established a class group. However, only one person in this class group did not join. That is Horikita-san. She seemed to be isolated from her classmates. According to Kushida's statement, she was invited but was rejected, saying that if it was not forced by the school, she would not come in. So, he's not an easy person to get along with. So now, is there anything Horikita-san can do? Normally Horikita-san is reading and studying in the classroom. He seems to be very good at reading. And my grades when I entered school were also very good, with scores in the 90s. But look at her current test scores. Horikita Suzune. Physics 51 points. Mathematics 51 points. Chemistry 51 points. English 51 points. Biology 51 points. My grades are only over 50 points, so if I study hard, my grades are not that good, right? Or did she actually not memorize the paper she got? So Kojinji called out Horikita Suzune's name, and the students around them looked at Horikita and thought wildly. Horikita Suzune. Horikita-san said nothing. And Gao Yuanji touched his neatly combed hair. Don't you understand? J. Yuanji said. Horikita girl's score is very unique. It means she already knew that someone in the class would fail, J. Yuanji said. Isn't 51 points not high? Chi Kwanzi, who scored 77 points in the memorization paper this time, looked over. Ike Kanji is similar to Yamauchi and has recently become a friend. The relationship is good. But he felt that Horikita Suzune was too aloof and cold. Yamauchi seemed to want to talk to Horikita, but was stared at coldly, as if he didn't want to waste a minute. So even though Horikita-san is quite beautiful, she doesn't look down on you at all, which feels very bad. J. Yuanji seemed to pause for a second. Could it be that Horikita-san deliberately scored 51, Hirata-kun, who had previously applied to drop out of school in Syudu's place, said. He has already reacted. Because the passing score is everyone's average score divided by 2, Horikita-san deliberately got a low score. Hirata's eyes seemed a little moved. Is Horikita-san actually such a person? I care so much about my classmates. The girls in the class were shaken after Hirata spoke. You value the friendship in the class too much. The person who spoke had a golden single ponytail. She is the cutest girl in the class. But she was not very popular among the boys in her class because she was super cute but had a bad temper. When a boy's eraser flew over to her, she started to curse. So boys don't like her. And she dresses like a hot girl, a bad girl. This is Kuruzawa Megami. But she is quite popular among girls. It seemed like the hot girls would get together and join her. Became the leader among hot girls. At the same time. Seems like she has extra points and now the hot girls owe her money. Horikita-san, then you have made such preparations in advance. Kushida-san, who had also pleaded for Syudu before, spoke up. So is there a way to avoid Syudu-san's withdrawal from school? The school gives students opportunities. 20 million points can exempt them from the penalty of dropping out of school, Sae Chibashira said while standing on the podium. 20 million. For 0 points last month, then 10x 100 equal 1000 points this month. For a Class D student who can only buy 5 bottles of mineral water with 1000 points, it is simply an unimaginable amount. So everyone's enthusiasm was extinguished instantly. If it's 20 million. Hirata seemed to be thinking. There is no way, Gao Yuanji said. Given another 100 years of schooling, you won't be able to collect 20 million. Jiyuan Temple, XN. Takahiraji instantly aroused public outrage. And Kojinji's score is really annoying. On the score sheet announced by teacher Chibashira, all subjects at Kojinji received full marks, 100 points. That is to say, the situation of students with low scores was not considered at all. Just take care of yourself and get full marks in the exam. It's really troublesome, Horikita Suzun suddenly said at this time. Chibashira-sensei, are you going to announce the upcoming special exam? This month's special exam has not been determined yet, Chibashira said. Got to check the weather. It's been pretty bad these days. In other words, the special exam was delayed because of the weather. But the weather has been sunny for the past week. So the weather at school is very nice. Then the recent bad weather that teacher Chibashira mentioned was not in the school, which means that the special examination in June may have to go out of the school. Then go somewhere. But it is a pity that no one in the current class cares about the news revealed by teacher Chibashira. Ayanokaji Kiyotaka, who was sitting quietly in his seat, thought to himself. But since the class was in such a bad state, teacher Chibashira didn't urge him to take action. Then don't move. So he maintained the appearance of an ordinary classmate. Then how long is Suyudu's score valid? Horikita said. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 94. Chibashira looked at her. If Suyudu passes, how many class evaluation points will our class receive? Before Chibashira arrived and Horikita-san was still in the dormitory, he received a transfer from the school. 1,000 points. The school called me the points for this month, and after redeeming them, only 10 points of class evaluation points were added to the class this month. So she knew, in the case of the open book exam, someone had failed. Probably 80 points, Sae Chibashira said. As long as everyone passes, you can get a class evaluation score of 80 points. 80 points? Then it's also 8,000 points. Pseudo. Why can't you get one more point in the exam? However, they were obviously talking about Pseudo dropping out of school, but some students in the class had already begun to complain. So Gao Yuanji sat down and began to take care of his delicate hair. Therefore, if you are assigned to this kind of class, there is no other way but to go solo. However, Suyudu's sports are good. If he had the idea of integrating the class, he would not let Suyudu drop out of school so easily. And now Horikita girl deliberately scores 51 points in each subject. Does she want to integrate the class? 80 points, Horikita Suzun said. She looked at the class. If Suyudu does not drop out of school, then we can get another 70 points in class evaluation. I have a suggestion to keep Suyudu from dropping out, but I have to take 50 points alone. That is to say, every month when the school scores points, you will have to transfer 50 points of class evaluation points to me. Why? A 50-point class evaluation score is 5,000 points for living expenses. You actually want everyone to give you 5,000 points dash. And it's every month, why don't you grab it? The students instantly became upset. Yamauchi shouted directly. Everyone, please be quiet first, Hirata-kun said quickly. Horikita-san, do you really have a way to prevent Suyudu-san from dropping out? If they had to collect 20 million to exempt Suyudu-kun from dropping out of school as Chibashira-sensei said, they couldn't do it. Even Hirata himself only had 3,700 points left in his hand. So I have to eat the mountain and vegetable set meal this month. It's definitely impossible for everyone to come together. But if this price could save Suyudu from dropping out of school, he would be very willing to listen. There is a way, Horikita Suzun said. Since Suyudu failed because he missed 1 point. Then just use points to buy this point. Pseudo got 1 point to avoid failing, and because all the students passed, the school had to give an additional 80 points to all the students who passed the exam, Horikita Suzun said. Is that so? Hirata seemed stunned for a moment. Then he quickly looked at Chibashira sensei. Chibashira sensei. Is that okay? 100,000 points, 1 point, Chibashira said seriously. In other words, Horikita's proposal is correct, effective, and can be carried out. Instead of using 20 million, just buying 1 point and spending 10 points can save Pseudo from dropping out of school. 100,000 points. The classmates were shocked. Maybe I didn't expect the test scores to be so expensive. I want it, but Ken Pseudo said immediately. I have 40,000 points here. Jung, lend me 60,000. Or one of you can lend me some points. Then next month I will pay back the 20-point class evaluation score I got, Pseudo said immediately. What Pseudo got is a class evaluation score of 20 points. The students around him were stunned. Then reacted. Your sister. So, Pseudo, if you pass, your class evaluation score will become 80 points. 10 points will be deducted from what everyone gets now, and then Horikita will take 50 points, and then treat the 20 points as his own? It's obviously because of you that we didn't get 80 points. As a result, I now regard the points I should get after passing as my own merit. Then, Class D started making noise. Everyone, calm down. Be quiet. I think Horikita-san's suggestion is very effective. If this can keep Pseudo from dropping out of school, then I think it's okay, Hirata-kun said quickly. It's best if we leave without our companions. Kushida-san is also comforting his classmates. But he quickly glanced in the direction of Horikita Suzun. After Horikita-san finished explaining the rules, he sat down quietly. Then he looked calm. It was as if what was happening now had nothing to do with her. However, when the classmates around looked at her, they seemed to be a little afraid and admired. In other words, Horikita-san's popularity seems to have increased. Then, during the lunch break, Oreki reunited with Horikita-san and Kushida-san. Today, Kushida-san also hopes that Oreki can ask Horikita out on a date. Horikita-san has already come out of Chibashira's incident, and is reading the vocabulary book. It seems to have returned to its usual state. Then Kushida told Oreki-san about the situation in Class D. What's the final result? Oreki said. Pseudo's 1 point was bought back with 100,000 points. Then no one in Class D failed, and the class evaluation score returned to 80 points. At the same time, everyone's personal accounts were replenished by the school with 7,000 points. Kushida said. Then, about Horikita-san's plan to save Pseudo. In the end, everyone decided to reward Horikita-san with 20 class evaluation points every month. This is what Hirata-kun strives for. After the school scores points every month, he will be responsible for collecting 2,000 points from each student. After collecting them, he will deposit them into Horikita-san's account. Profound. That's it? If there's nothing else to do today, I'll leave first. Horikita Suzun checked the time on her phone. Prepare to go back to class to prepare for the afternoon class. Neither Oreki nor Kushida-chan stopped her. Because Oreki-san felt that Kushida's appointment today was probably not to ask him if there was any way to earn points. But Oreki-san. Really? After Horikita Suzun left, Kushida-san made a move. Chapter 065 Blackening Kushida, Oreki Houtarou, you saw it, right? Kushida-san made a move. She glanced at Horikita Suzun's invisible back, and then turned around. Started using his own weapons. Oreki-san. She began to look at Oreki-san's face with pitiful eyes, as if she wanted to make contact with his eyes. This is Kushida-san's skill. She probably knows that she is cute, and then she also knows how to use her cuteness to attack people. But it's a pity, Kushida-san, when he went to see Horikita-san on the day of Ryuan, he heard your true words. You described him as a lustful person. Although Oreki-san doesn't hold grudges, he will remember them first. So he took half a step back. However, when he stepped back and stood firm, his left hand was held up by someone. Hello. Is this possible? Kushida-san. Oreki found that his left hand was being held by someone, and the other person's slender fingers were gently squeezing it, and then his body temperature suddenly spread over him. Is it another scene about holding his hand? And this kind of thing? Oreki-san. The pitch of Kushida-san's voice also seemed to have changed. Staring at him with expectant eyes. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 95. Although I haven't seen him for several days. But Kushida-san really knows how to use his own weapons. Having a girl hold your hand is stressful for Oreki-san. Although Kushida-san and Itayanaga-san are different from Horikita-san and Ichino-san. Not a top beautiful girl. But she is quite cute and smiles like a little angel. So it also has considerable destructive power. And Kushida-san, something is wrong with you. Only then did Oreki realize that the bow of Kushida-san's shirt uniform had gone somewhere, and the first button of the shirt was open. It seemed that an incredible scenery came into view. Wow! Is this just taking out the trash in front of Horikita-san and calling him a lustful boy, and then immediately prescribing the right medicine? Oreki-san quickly looked away. What do you want to ask? Oreki said. I'll tell you. Little Kushida then made a cute expression. Horikita-san's score for each subject is 51 points. Was it Oreki-san's suggestion to control the points? Kushida asked. Profound. This is what she wanted to ask. I asked her to do this, Oreki said. Class D knew the school rules on the first day just like my Class A. However, under such circumstances, you can still be deducted 1,000 points a month. It shows that many people have very poor executive ability and self-discipline. So even if you give them the test paper at the beginning of the month, I think there may be some people who feel like delaying reading the test paper for a few more days and memorizing it on the last day or something like that. So it may be the case that some people are cramming. And everyone has test papers, so some students with average grades can get high scores. In this way, the passing score for the class will definitely be higher than usual. Then Horikita-kun lowering your score may help others, Oreki said. Oh, Kushida nodded lightly. But why didn't you inform me to do this? Kushida-san seemed a little sad. I also want to help everyone. If my scores are controlled so that they are all 51 points, then the average score may be lowered by 1 or 2 points, so Suda-san doesn't have to spend money to buy points and almost drop out of school. I see. She originally hoped to help her friends. That would be a pity, Oreki said. I'm not thinking about who in your class is going to drop out. You have been in contact with the 3rd grade, so you know how many students are left in Class D of the 3rd grade now. 32 people, Kushida-san answered quickly. And Oreki nodded. It is common for the school to fail exams and be expelled. But after getting the test paper, it has become an open book test, and then failing, it is very reasonable for such students to be expelled. So I asked Horikita-san to control points just to create an image. She said she wanted to help people, but in fact she just wanted her to create an image of a top student who deliberately failed in exams for the sake of poor students. Oreki said. Is it just to boost Horikita-san's popularity and improve his image? Kushida-san then guessed. Absolutely, Oreki nodded. She is committed to collecting 20 million, but this goal is too far away, and she is still in Class D. Like class groups, it's been 2 months, and I haven't seen it on her phone at all. So I wonder if she was excluded, Oreki said. Actually, I invited her, but she refused, saying that since it was not a mandatory requirement of the school, I would not go in. Kushida said quickly. She said that she was not taking the lead in ostracizing Horikita Suzune. Not only that, but she also specifically persuaded and invited her. In response, Oreki-san remained quiet. Because in the library before, Kushida-san, you used Horikita-san as a trash can. And even now, I still go to Horikita-san's door every day, which is not a good intention. Oreki now wondered whether Kushida blocked the door to Horikita every day not to build a good relationship with Horikita, but to deliberately disgust Suzune Horikita. In revenge, the other party has always turned a blind eye to her. So give the other person a bad mood first every morning. And for Kushida, it is the beginning of a good mood every day. The relationship between girls is really complicated, and he still doesn't understand it. The only thing that can be used as experience is the relationship between Sake Inagi-san and Kamuro-san. It's just that this doesn't look like getting along between friends. But Kushida let go of Oreki-san's hand. Oreki-san and Horikita-san's relationship is so good that they can check each other's phones. It's really enviable. Obviously we are friends, she became aggrieved again. This was the condition that Oreki hoped to agree to when he was originally arranged to brush the wool of Class B and Class C together. She wanted to get close to Horikita but was rejected, so she got close to Oreki, which was considered a curve to save the country. Result: they are obviously friends. But Oreki-san has always focused on Horikita-san. So does she feel left out? I can also check each other's phone and yours now, Oreki-san said. Then he took out his phone as if to show his honesty. That's it? Kushida-san then showed a cute expression. I can also exchange cell phones with Oreki-san to check. But there are some things on the girl's phone that are not embarrassing for others to see, so next time she said. Does this mean that Horikita Suzune is not a girl? And when Oreki noticed that Kushida-san was silent, she suddenly lowered her head slightly. If I had been earlier. She pressed her left hand to her chest. No one can see her expression. Earlier. No, it's nothing, but she quickly raised her head, revealing a face like a little angel. The lunch break will be over soon, I'm going back first. Goodbye, Oreki-san. Kushida-san buttoned up the first button of his clothes, took out the bow tie from his pocket, tied it, and ran away quickly. And watching her back, Oreki stood for a while. He had a strange feeling just now. He felt that Kushida seemed to want to say something, and that what he wanted to say might be the truth. But she didn't say it, indicating that she rejected him. In other words, he didn't get into her heart. It would be better if he didn't get into her heart. After all, she is a troublemaker. I have a deep obsession with Horikita Suzune. And this obsession may be able to erase all the current emotions. That's why it becomes troublesome to get into her heart. But Oreki-san doesn't hate her. Kushida will give benefits. Although this will make him feel stressed, it is undeniable that Kushida-san has been increasing his experience points with girls. Tell her what a girl's weapon is and what her attack is. So, I'm afraid that the next time Ichi-nose shows a cute expression, the experience points I gained from Kushida-san will be enough to resist. Moreover, there are also rewards from this lunch break. That is because Horikita arranged for all of Horikita's test scores to be 51 points. But Horikita Suzune's choice to spend points to buy points for Syudu, and then collect the evaluation points from the class as a reward, was actually Horikita Suzune's own decision. In other words, Horikita-san, who was just a weak guy at the beginning who didn't understand people's hearts and atmosphere, is also making progress. Horikita Suzune has made progress. This may be what her brother wants to see. But it's also a pity. The goal was achieved, no one dropped out of Class D, and the class evaluation score increased by 70 points. But in the end, Suzune Horikita only got 20 points out of the 50 she proposed, which meant that she was still not able to speak in the class. Did not receive due evaluation and treatment. However, it is good news that Hirata from Class D will compromise and transfer the 20-point class evaluation score to Horikita Suzune. It shows that if Hirata from Class D can control the class, then he understands the truth and is willing to compromise. As long as you are willing to compromise, then everything is easy to talk about. This school is about strength. Points count. And Ryuan of Class C, who has been playing with Class C, probably doesn't want to collect points this month. So Class D may become the second point reserve package. Oreki-san thought to himself. And Class C is here. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 96. It was obviously lunch break time, but everyone was gathered in the classroom. In fact, no one went to lunch. However, there was a pile of bread on the podium that Daichi Ishizaki had arranged to buy. Probably after preparation, I will distribute it to my classmates. Long Yuan Xiang held a meeting. All the students are sitting in their seats. Even, the digital teacher from Class C's head teacher is also there. But the teacher just sat in the corner, watching Ryuan shine. Our class got 100 points in this exam. So each of you has 10,000 more points in your hands, Long Yuan said. I don't want to recite it anymore, one student said. They've been doing one thing these days. That means memorizing papers all the time. 10 days before the exam. Ryuan kept them here every day, and then began to recite the papers filled with answers. Then on the 7th day before the exam, everyone was divided into 5 papers after school. Then, if anyone fails to score 100 points, he or she cannot leave. So some people were even left until 11 o'clock in the evening to go back. The mentality is simply explosive. Shut up. But Ryuan glared at him. If you don't do this, you will get the highest reward you can get. And see clearly. Except for the garbage dump of Class D, this time the evaluation scores of the 3 classes A, B, C all received the highest score of 100 points. In other words, A or B are also working hard. If you don't put in a little effort, how can you beat them? Long Yuan said. Obviously the current situation is pretty good. The student shook his head. Tuition is free, and then there are living expenses. Then after you graduate, just go sweep the streets or squat at home, Long Yuan Xiang said. Why would you go sweeping the streets after graduation? The student suddenly shouted. Obviously there was an opportunity to rise to great heights, but in the end I chose to fall. It would be better to just drop out of school now. So without taking any detours, we can directly clean the streets 3 years in advance, Long Yuan Xiang said. But as long as you make it to Class A, you can sweep the streets, and you can look forward to any future. The male teacher wearing glasses stared at Long Yuan on the board. Long Yuan is the most unique student during his tenure. Although his academic ability is very poor, it is undeniable that Ryuan has the ability to lead. Like a tyrant. Putting Class C, which has little hope, into good order. It made him feel like, maybe he could really charge forward. And as long as Long Yuan rushes forward, his salary as a teacher can also be increased, so it is a win-win situation. So, go ahead, Long Yuan. As the former head teacher of Class A, the digital teacher on the board also has anger hidden in his heart. Obviously all students from Class A graduated, but why was he assigned to Class C, while Majima and Hashinomi Yachie could go to Class A and Class B? He also wants to prove himself. Did he? At this time, his phone vibrated. It seems that the school has sent new information. The digital teacher on the board put down his phone. Everyone, the class evaluation scores have been updated, he said with a frown. The teacher on the board walked to the blackboard and wrote the new class evaluation scores. Class A scored 1,330 points. Class B has a score of 670. Class C has 490 points. Class D has 80 points. Why did Class D get extra points? The girl with short blue hair sitting in the corner suddenly said. Her name is Oreki. She is dissatisfied with Ryuan's violent rule, but her academic ability is also very poor, and her brain is not very good at the same time. If Ryuan could lead her class up to Class A, then she would be willing to obey orders. But this does not affect her dislike of Ryuan. Shiana, what do you think? Ryuan ignored Ibuki and immediately looked at Class C's think tank. Then, the girl with long silver-white hair stood up. If it wasn't a system error at the beginning, then it must be something that happened to Class D. And you can instantly increase your score by 70 points. Maybe someone in their class has become good at using the rules, Shiana said. Does that mean there is someone in Class D who needs attention? Long Yuan frowned. Then we have to wait until they can climb up. What I want to talk about now is the news I got from the senior. In the third semester of each year, there will be an exit exam. And at that time, it was an opportunity to increase points and gain points. But they can't tell you specific information. I can only say that this is the best time in my student career to earn points, and then I want to do some deployment. When Oreki-san was going to his Class A, he passed by Class C and happened to find all the students in Class C sitting in the class. And Long Yuan's voice came faintly. It seems that everyone is very keen on class competition. And didn't Class C contribute some good news? You can earn points in the next exam. Although Ryuan is very capable of commanding, it is not a good habit not to rule out spies or find someone to squat at the door during a meeting. Oreki knew that the students in his class were already trying to contact the students in Class C. In other words, Class C can use some spies. And Oreki also knew that there was a student in his class who cared a lot about class evaluation scores and the like. The class evaluation score of Class D has increased by 70 points. Oreki-san returned to Class A. Katsuragi-san was already frowning. After going to the cafeteria, he passed the first grade bulletin board. Then he found President Horikita passing by, and then with a straight face he changed the class evaluation score of first grade Class D to 80 points. It's probably a student from Class D who used points to buy scores and barely passed. Then the school retracted its assessment of them. Then I gave a standard 80-point class evaluation score for all members to pass, came the voice of Sakayanagi Arisu. It's rare that Sakayanagi-san is back. But she brought accurate news. Oreki glanced at Kamuro Maesumi behind Itaiji. It is very likely that Kamuro-san went to investigate the information, or, it may be that a spy has appeared in Class D. In other words, it's very easy. Because Class D had 0 points last month and 1,000 points this month. But it is the easiest opportunity to corrode. Really, you use points to buy points. It seems like this school can do anything with points. Katsuragi-san nodded. As a member of the student union, he knows more. But the flexible application of points cannot interfere with him. But he also discovered that anything can be done easily if you have some ideas. So, how about starting to collect some points from members of the Katsuragi faction this month or next? It's just that he started to collect points and so on. If the people who support him go to Sakayanagi's side, it seems that the gains outweigh the losses. What we feel now is the upward momentum of Class B and Class C, so what needs to be stabilized most is the status of Class A. So it would be foolish to start a civil war on your own. Then, Katsuragi-san started thinking. But Sakayanagi Arisu didn't continue talking to him. but Sakayanagi Yuzu blinked lightly. Oreki-san seems to be very close to Horikita Suzun-san from Class D. She really shined in Class D this time. She was the one who bought points to avoid failing. Horikita Suzun? A student from Class D? Katsuragi-san ignored it after hearing it. Because even climbing in Class D is too difficult. In the first month, there were 0 points, and then in the second month, there were students who failed the open book exam, even after remedial work. It is also a hopeless class. Katsuragi felt no need to pay attention. It's better to pay more attention to the representatives of Class B and Class C. Then she received a monthly class evaluation score of 20 points from Class D. Sakayanagi Arisu continued. Oreki. In other words, there is already a spy in Class D. He actually told Sakayanagi this news. Only. Oreki noticed Sakayanagi-san's cute face. That is to say. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 97. Did he just come back from his lunch break and encounter the Shura field? However, Oreki felt that if it was Shura field, then his relationship with Kushida-san seemed to be closer. I don't have much to do with Horikita-san. By the way, when I was passing by Class C, I heard Ryuan having a meeting. He seems to have received news from the seniors that the exams in June will be held on campus. And the score is very high. He wants to make some arrangements, Oreki said. Yeah, it seems that Class C wants to rush forward this time. Yuzu Sakayanagi put down his cane and said. I hope it can be interesting. But because it's an exam to leave school, my health doesn't allow it. So this time I can only watch you perform. Sakayanagi Yuzu seemed to be sighing. And this also explains why when Katsuragi was worried about the two parties splitting the class, Sakayanagi said that the people on her side should follow Katsuragi-san's orders. In other words, does it refer to this exam? Because he was unwell and unable to participate, Sakayanagi Yuzu gave up conducting. But Katsuragi. Katsuragi-san thought he could ignore it just now, but now he suddenly paid attention. Generally speaking, teachers will announce the special exams for that month on the first of each month. But there was no mention of special exams at all today. It seems that Oreki-san, Sakayanagi-san, and Ryuan from Class C all know the direction of the exam. In other words, are everyone actually in contact with upperclassmen? He is the only one who thinks that by joining the student union, he can get a lot of information. So I didn't pay too much attention to this aspect. Everyone knows the result, and does Class C even want to prepare for deployment? Katsuragi. It seems he is not thoughtful enough. So, even though it is the first day of June, Katsuragi-san has to be serious again. What's wrong, Oreki-san? Next door, Sakayanagi Yuzu noticed that Oreki-san seemed to be in a daze after class. In fact, you can see what he does if you sit next door. It seems that I have gone through the transfer record several times. Oreki-san has a huge amount of points. All students in class know this. A huge amount of points indeed. Name, Houtarou Oreki. Student ID, 100-861-0010. Class, Grade A, First Grade. Private account, 2,958,200 points. Today is the first, and the school's living expenses are paid in as usual. But Oreki-san's points are different. But for Oreki-san, there is probably 1 point that has not been scored. That was the point from the senior sister who supported him. On May 1st, when everyone was being scored, Oreki-san was kept by his senior sister. The other party transferred 1 million. Then, although Oreki-san felt that it might not be a simple support, he wanted to ignore it. However, subsequently, the other party transferred another 2 million points. The other party also let him spend it as he pleased. But this kind of transfer information and transfers with huge points are very different. You know, the most powerful students now are the students in class of the 3rd grade, and the class evaluation score of the students in class of the 3rd grade is 2,500 points plus, which means that according to this normal method, it will take 4 months to accumulate 100 points. Thousands of points. The salaries of ordinary faculty and staff are similar to those in the outside world. So 1 million is equivalent to several months of their salary. As a result, I was called right away. Still a total of 3 million. In other words, even Oreki-san himself confirmed that he was probably being kept. What about this month? It's already a new month. But when I clicked on the account, today only one transfer information from the school came in that everyone had. Then came nothing. Is it because the senior sister who supported you didn't add in this month's points? Sakayanagi Yuzu said. It seems that Oreki-san is disliked. Why do you think so? Oreki-san looked at the silver-haired girl next door. General rules, Sakayanagi Yuzu said. Since your senior sister wants to support you, of course she will break in at a fixed time. Then he added as if to add, for training. Training. Oh. This is Sakayanagi-san's experience in raising pets. Then Oreki-san looked towards Itayanagi-san's back table. Kamuro-san seemed to be in a daze. But she felt like she was being looked at by Oreki. She was glanced at by Oreki. Is there anything wrong with what you're wearing today? No, she checked it when she went out. And Yuzu Sakayanagi continued. Maybe he was abandoned. After all, Oreki-san is already being taken care of by your senior, but you still meet a beautiful girl from Class D. I think your sponsor, your senior, may not want you anymore. Oreki. Can we not mention this issue? And both Kushida-san and Horikita-san are very resistant to falling in love. Although Kushida-san's performance today seemed to be cute and giving, and he even deliberately unbuttoned the first button of his shirt. But that was probably just to deal with him, and to get information about Horikita-san from him. So that's the price Kushida-san thinks needs to be paid. Yes. Kushida-san is very realistic. So he, Kushida, and Horikita would never fall in love. But there are still a few minutes until class begins. So Oreki-san doesn't mind passing the time with Sakayanagi-san. Do you think someone would spend 3 million and then cut off the relationship if they don't like it? Oreki asked. I will, Sakayanagi Yuzu said. If it were me, then I would. After all, if the things I don't like are still there, even if I spent a lot of money on them in the past, they still feel like an eyesore. So if I have to give it up, I will give it up, she said. Profound. In other words, Sakayanagi-san is the kind of person who doesn't like to look back on the past. Or is he a super decisive person? And the other side. Class D, 1st grade. Lunch break is coming to an end. However, the students in the class were not ready for the next class yet. They were still talking together. Houtarou, like a failed man of the moment, hugged Hirata directly. If there are any sports events, I will definitely participate and get class evaluation scores. Houtarou-san has very good motor skills. Joined the basketball club and directly became a member of the regular team. So saying this really makes people think, if there is really a sports-related competition, if Houtarou is arranged to play, it is likely that he can get a lot of points. So everyone suddenly thought that keeping Houtarou would be useful. And Houtarou's current points. It was Hirata-kun who worked hard to help him borrow 60,000, plus the 40,000 points he owned, so he paid the money to buy the points. Therefore, Hirata-kun can be regarded as Houtarou's village leader. But for Houtarou, when he was about to be expelled from school, Hirata-kun actually offered to drop out of school, so he immediately burst into tears. In general, if Houtarou can be used, it will be very effective in class competition. But This is Class D. So. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 98. Et. Are there also exams for physical education? No. I can't run 100 meters anymore. I don't want to run 800 dash. There were cries from students who couldn't exercise. Juyunji Liasuk. So this is very Class D. So Gao Yuanji classmate continued to take out the small mirror and looked at his face, and sure enough, he is as artistic and beautiful as a sculpture. I'm so beautiful. Yuanji-san was immersed in his own world. And the girls' small group is here. I'm relieved, our class's class evaluation score can actually increase like this. I didn't expect that I could use points directly to buy points. Horikita-san is so awesome. And because of this, I can add 5,000 to next month's living expenses. Although it's still not enough, it's still a little bit, Wang Miu said. Wang Miu is Kushida's best friend. From heaven. Has beautiful twin tails. At the same time, he is very good at English papers. Even if he doesn't read the answers, he can get full marks. It's just that this lovely best friend is always stepping on Kushida-san's minefield. He directly praised Horikita-san. Horikita-kun. By the way, Horikita-san hasn't joined the group yet, a girl in the back seat said. This is Inokashira-san, who is about the same height as Wang Miu-san. Because they are about the same height, the three of them usually move together. So now, small groups are talking to each other. Only. Normally, they wouldn't say whether Horikita is longer or Horikita is shorter. Now, is it always Horikita? But Kushida-san remained cute. Yes, that's right, Kushida-san nodded lightly. But last time I invited her to join the group, she refused. Let me go and ask Dan, Wang Miu said. Then he ran over to Horikita Suzun's side. I have to say that Horikita-san has a cool air about her. It seemed that whenever he got close, he would feel, as if he was being stared at by her. Only. Kushida stared at his phone. She is in the class group and still serves as the administrator. But. Horikita Suzun applied to join the class, do you agree? As an administrator, a message popped up here. And Wang Miu trotted back. Kikyo-chan, Horikita-san said that she applied to join. Please agree quickly, Wang Miu kept her cute expression. By the way, I thought I would be scolded just now, but Horikita-san is not that difficult to get in touch with. Is that so? Inokashira-san was a little surprised. I always feel like I will be bullied if I get close to her. No, I wasn't bullied, Wang Miu spoke for Horikita. Kushida. Oh. So what is going on with Horikita Suzun now? Although Kushida didn't mean it, she was actually happy to see Horikita Suzun being ostracized. So I pretended to invite her into the group, but was rejected. Result. Has Horikita Suzun changed her personality now? What is going on? Nothing happened. Horikita-san looked at his phone. It is recommended that you join the class group. You have now obtained a class evaluation score of 20 points from Class D by Oreki Houtarou. But you are not very good at collecting information in the class group. Some public information is still available. And your actions to get class evaluation scores can be expanded. In other words, has Oreki Houtarou seen the opportunity? As a slave with 20 million points, Horikita-san complied with the other party's arrangement. Then there was such a scene. But it's undeniable. I actually thought of using points to buy points. Isn't Horikita-san pretty awesome? By the way, this month's special exam has not been announced yet. If there is another exam that can score points, can we get more points by asking Horikita-san to help? I already owe Kushida-san 6,000 points and I owe Kuruzawa-san 10,000 points. They won't be able to borrow it anymore. By the way, when I followed her to use points to buy food, I saw her points. It was close to 2 million. Isn't that awesome? There is even such a trend. Kikyo-chan. While Wang Miu was talking about other topics, she suddenly noticed that Kushida-san seemed a little absent-minded. Ah. I think so. Kushida quickly focused on chatting with his friends. But he quickly turned around and glanced at the beautiful girl with straight black hair sitting by the window. But Horikita Susan was focused on looking at the textbook she would use for the next class. On the first day of the new month, all classes were not peaceful. Oreki-san discovered that the classmates in Class B also reacted. That is, 450,000 points have been credited to your account, and the transfer will be made to Hanamai Ichino's account balance, 3.408,200 points. It seems that Ichino's-san hasn't fully adapted to the school. And this time, Ichino's actually collected the points of the 15 classmates from Class B who participated in Oreki's store loan plan. Then the money was transferred. It shows that even if Ichino-san knows the school rules, he knows that points come first. But in the end, he couldn't make the heroic decision to cut off his wrist like Ryuan-san did. Still boiling a frog in warm water. That is to say, this time Class B doesn't have the kind of attack power that's like a sharp knife. However, for the students in Class B, it seems that they have been satisfied with the special written test they just experienced and then received the reward of 100 class evaluation points. Oreki-san analyzed this. Beep. However, he found a message received on his phone. Can I go to the artificial lake at 7:30, by Ichino's? Ichino's. It's Hanamai Ichino's. You just transferred the money and now you want to find him. And it's still, that artificial lake wave? As for the artificial lake, one can think of Ichino's being confessed by Chihiro Shiraka, a girl in the same class. So is it about the previous relationship? Concerning what happened last time, Chihiro-san, thank you, Oreki-san by Hanamai Ichino's. Ichino's quickly added another piece of information. In other words, this is still the problem? Oreki thought in his mind. Then reply. Then we'll meet at 7:30. However, Oreki's hand stopped typing. Because it seems that Oreki-san and Ichino-san from Class B have a good relationship, Sakayanagi-san next door suddenly said. For it. Because the distance here is very close, Sakayanagi Yuzo can see the words Ichino's on the notes on his mobile phone. As for Ichino's, there is only one in the whole school. That is Hanamai Ichino's from Class B, first grade. Representative of Class B. Beautiful, sunny, smart, and full of justice. However, Oreki also observed that when Sakayanagi turned around and looked over, he should have already replied to Ichino-san. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yet. Chapter 99. That is to say. Probably because I saw Ichino's name, and his reply. Meet at 7:30 or something. But I haven't entered the location yet. It's obvious that Oreki-san has already met Horikita-san from Class D very happily, Sakayanagi-san said. The result is that you're still trying to do it? Okay, don't talk about it this time. At the same time, Oreki also knew that he was a student of Class A. Why are you still in contact with girls from other classes? And it's with the representative of Class B. So, perhaps, after class, the aggressive little Tyrannosaurus Rex will take action. So, then the puppy Kamuro-san will always follow him. So I have to get rid of her. The time is 7:15. Oreki went directly back to his dormitory. Sitting on a small bed only 1.2 meters wide. Are you here already? Oreki-san sent a message to Ichino's. However, It took Ichinose more than 10 seconds to reply. Have you arrived yet? I have something to do and am spending time with a friend by Ichinose. She is not in good health, so the agreed time will probably be a little later. That's it? It fits the image of Ichinose-san, who has many friends and is an archangel. I haven't arrived yet either. Oreki-san sent a message, you can be later. But Oreki walked to the door. Turn around the dormitory door. Then I saw, in the corridor of the boys' dormitory, a tall girl with long purple hair holding a vocabulary notebook and reciting expressionlessly. This girl's bangs are very long and she uses 3 clips to hold them together. And this girl is none other than Maesumi Kamuro, whom Oreki-san conquered on the first day. Later, it was transferred to classmate Banlieue Therese. Result: Kamuro Maesumi just stayed at the door of his dormitory. When he opened the door, Kamuro-san, who was reading the vocabulary book, immediately looked over and paid attention with bright eyes. Kamuro-san, you must be poisonous. This scene made him look like a hero in a light novel who cheated on his mistress and was followed by someone arranged by the main wife. And even though we were classmates, it was still such a thankless task when we were assigned to use it. As a result, Kamuro-kun, you had no intention of refusing. He was also very experienced and studied while he was being followed. It feels weird. Boom. Oreki-san then closed the door again. 303 is his dormitory. But because he doesn't live here, he doesn't have many personal belongings. And staying in a place like this for a while is obviously not a good thing. So, use teleportation? Target lake railing. Oreki called up the system. Yes. Use superpowers. Oreki-san was going to go to the railing of the lake to wait for Ichinose-san. Almost as soon as he used teleportation, the surrounding scene changed. He found that the place where he appeared was behind the big tree where he stood after Ichinose-san was confessed to her last time. See you at the old place. However, buzz. There was a sound of the railing being shaken from the front. To be precise, it was the sound of being kicked. Someone was facing away from him, and then he kicked the railing unceremoniously, without the appearance of a lady or a little angel. From this angle, you can see the smooth profile of the person on the other side of the railing. And Oreki was very familiar with the other person's face. Because this is no stranger. It was lunch break time, and we were talking with Kushida Kikyo. Kushida-san is like an angel, cute, and the price to drive it is quite cheap. But her impression on him had declined recently. He actually evaluated him as a lustful boy or something. Oreki-san wanted to resist this. What's surprising is that I usually see her cute side, but now, she is an extremely unfamiliar side when she is alone. Because elegance, politeness, and excellence have all disappeared from her. She kicked the railing without any temperament, as if she was venting her anger. And he always thinks about others and never speaks kindly to others. That bitch Horikita. You are so arrogant all day long because you are cute and have good grades. Do you think everyone will like you? Obviously I got the test paper, but no one thanked me today. Everyone is thanking Horikita, and they think Horikita is particularly awesome. This kind of thing. Kakaka dash. So Kushida kicked the railing. Oreki-san, on the other hand, stared ahead. I confirmed that I was not in a dream, but in reality, Kushida-san was kicking the railing. She also unreservedly exposed her envy, jealousy, and disgust towards Horikita Suzune. So, what is this scene? Did you come to the wrong place? Do you want to use the transparency capability? Yes. But Oreki reacted quickly. Add a superpower. Because as soon as he heard it and felt it, Oreki-san felt that, this was a super troublesome scene. Because Kushida Kikyo-san, the truest side that he didn't tell him at noon, has been shown. And Kushida-san really got worse. She kicked the railing and continued to curse. Why don't people like Horikita die? Die, die, die. Bitch, that bitch Horikita. The girl was kicking the railing as hard as she could while speaking vicious words. Her originally sweet and cute face also had a distorted and ferocious expression, as if it had completely turned dark. And this feeling, this performance. Completely different from the ordinary little angels. If someone sees her like this, I'm afraid Class D, no, everyone who knows her will collapse, right? After all, the cute angel-like girl that I usually admire and have a crush on is actually this kind of person. Yes, Kushida-san is actually such a person. And, Oreki-san is also someone who just wants to use it, but doesn't want to know more about it or have any contact with it. Because such people are very troublesome. So, he took out his phone and checked the time. He is now in a transparent state. Even if the phone is held, the phone will not be observed by people. So it's very convenient. But I have to tell Ichino-san not to come to the railing for now. If Ichino encounters the scene will be too beautiful. Then the subsequent processing will definitely be troublesome. So Oreki-san immediately chose the most energy-saving option. Act like nothing happened. Kushida is here to vent, so let her vent. Then she finished venting and left. He leaves again. Judging from the way Kushida interacts with Horikita Suzune, she is a very perseverant person. Therefore, if someone like this discovers that he is exposed in a terrible way, he will definitely be entangled in a more terrifying way. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 100. For his energy conservationists, it is the type he most wants to avoid. And when I think about it, beep. 1 million personal points have been credited to your account, transfer party, unknown. Note, monthly maintenance. Mobile phones can be made invisible without being observed due to transparency. But the phone is there. So it will have sound too. Unexpectedly, at this time, the financial supporter of Oreki-san would transfer the money. Oreki. Kushida. As soon as the voice sounded, Oreki-san felt despair. And Kushida-san also heard it. The performance is. Boom. Kushida stopped kicking the railing and turned around at the same time. Oreki Houtarou, you must be here. You are the only person I know who would be supported by such disgusting points. Her rhetoric was really excessive. But she was probably in a very bad mood right now, so her words didn't make sense. But Oreki noticed her movements. And Kushida Kikyo seemed to have taken out her mobile phone and was checking something. In fact, you don't need to look at the screen of her phone to know that what she is looking at is the GPS. Two people who are friends can check each other's location. So, Kushida is now using GPS to check his location. Is it too late to delete Kushida's friends now? But suddenly deleting it, doesn't this mean that he is present at the scene? Oreki. Beep. Remove transparency. Yes. Oreki then walked out from behind the tree. But he had just taken 2 steps and noticed his figure when Kushida Kikyo walked over as fast as a foot race. She was only as tall as his shoulders. But she walked over with her head slightly lowered, and then raised her eyes as she approached him. His eyes were ruthless. Kushida-san walked over in a hurry. As she approached him, she suddenly raised her head. The clear pupils became emotionless. And Oreki-san has been in contact with Kushida-san at this distance many times. But Kushida-san usually touches him with his angelic and cute side, and then holds his hand several times, looking angelic and cute. And today, I took off the bow tie with great hemorrhage, and then unbuttoned the first button of my uniform shirt. It almost gave him an incredible view. For Oreki-san, this was quite shocking. However, the current Kushida-san is, a side that I have never seen before. Cold, dark, and electric eyes. Oreki Houtarou, what happened just now? You saw it? Kushida-san spoke in a very cold tone. Although it is the same sound line, it gives people a completely different feeling. Oreki. This time is the worst time. Just one look at the way Kushida-san is pestering Horikita-san, you can tell that Kushida is a very troublesome and obsessive person. And we still don't know Kushida's reason for targeting Horikita-san. But Oreki-san knows for sure that the other side of Kushida-san that he sees now may be directly ranked number 1 on the negative ranking list in Kushida-san's heart. So, this time Kushida-san kicked the railing and scolded Horikita. Then, next time, will Kushida-san kick the railing and start scolding him? Would you believe me if I said I just came here and didn't hear anything? Oreki-san said. Kushida. I don't believe you, but Kushida Kikyo said immediately. Profound. So is this how you treat your friends? What Oreki-san was thinking about was during the lunch break, Kushida-san, who was so charming, said that he didn't consider her a friend and didn't pay attention to her. Result. Isn't it the same for you? Then what are you going to do? Oreki said. If I say that I have no ill intentions towards you, and that I am even willing to keep your secret, then you will definitely not believe it. Kushida. The blackened Kushida-san began to think. She also didn't expect that her emotional side would be exposed. And he was still exposed by the troublesome Oreki Houtarou. As someone who came into contact with Houtarou Oreki in the first month of school, she knew very well that Oreki-san was very profitable. So no matter what means she wants to use, she can't make the other party drop out of school. Because the other party has some points. It's unclear whether all 20 million has been collected, but there's definitely a good chance that it will. So she is only a student in Class D, so she will definitely not be able to defeat the opponent. But it's impossible to just let this side of yourself be exposed. In other words, it will be a loss if the other party drops out of school. So she started thinking about how to let the other party keep the secret without targeting her plan. And it was the way Oreki-san lowered his head and thought that made him realize, Kushida-san seemed to be the same as usual. His contact with Kushida was thanks to Horikita Suzune. But Horikita Suzune felt that Kushida was annoying, and that he would approach her after he hated her was like a sick person. But it is also useful in interpersonal communication. So I recommended it to Oreki-san. Oreki-san also started to use Kushida, but it was almost like the type that did a lot of work, but it was cheap and the pay was small. In the end, she was still able to accept it. In other words, Kushida has actually been suffering. But now, he actually really thought about it seriously. It shows that her IQ is really not high. So how will she handle the current situation? How to let him keep this dark side of her? A little curious. And when I think about it, he noticed that Kushida suddenly raised his head, and then seemed to grab his hand. Oreki-san quickly raised his hand. Kushida grabbed his hand again, but Oreki-san still raised his hand. Kushida didn't catch it. It came up empty. You can't hide, this development seemed to make dark Kushida vomit blood. Instinct tells me that you are going to do something bad, Oreki-san said, so this is just my instinctive avoidance. But Kushida had already grabbed his right hand while he was speaking seriously. Kushida held Oreki's hand many times. Probably, because she was familiar with her, Oreki didn't really reject her for a while. So what will she do now? Take his hand. While I was thinking about this, I noticed that Kushida acted differently from before. That is the dividing line of the bounty. Debts are paid off. Now let's talk about the update and offer a reward by the way. A guarantee of 10,000 words per day. Then every 200 monthly votes will add 2,000 words, every 100 blades will add 2,000 words, and every 1,000 recommended votes will add 2,000 words. In fact, The data you give me every day allows me to add 5 to 6,000 words. Can't you squeeze me out harder? Unruly.jpg.